Will it be fly, Eagles, fly, or buy, Eagles, buy? Let's get it. Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman. And in today's show, we will be previewing the wild card round, where the San Francisco 49ers will take on the Philadelphia Eagles at the Link this Sunday. It appears that weather's not going to be a factor. It's looking like the high this Sunday in Philly is going to be 45 with a low of 32. So I think everything's going to be good to go there. I plan on breaking this show down into 3 different phases, guys. I really want to talk about why I feel the Niners could win, why I feel they might lose, and what the overall prediction is. But first, wanted to start off by saying, man, I was hurt like most everybody last week with a lot riding on the line, new uniforms at home, national television, with all of the good things that the Niners have done, Brock having back-to-back 5-touchdown games, dancing on folks out there. All 49ers fans out there were riding a very serious high, and I think that came crashing down a bit. But what I would say to everyone is that just keep in mind, I know we had a very strong end to the season outside of that Seahawks loss, but the reality of the situation is that our team is massively hurt. And I'm not trying to use that as an excuse whatsoever, but I think the fact that they just went on an offensive tear there toward the end may have puffed Niners fans, us faithful, up just a little bit too much. But again, the biggest thing to remember, guys, is that it's a brand new season. All that stuff that was done, the 12 wins, 5 losses, if you take that at face value with all the injuries, all the distractions, everybody that's been out, all the key players that's missed games, for us to win 12 games is incredible. At the beginning of the season, I predicted the Niners would go 12-5 and have an opportunity to play for the division title, and that is exactly what happened. Now, I anticipated that the Rams would be a good team. I anticipated that the Seahawks would do well this year also. I had no idea that this would be the toughest division in the history of pro football. With 3 teams having 12-plus wins is insane. Couple that with all the injuries and who's missed time, I thought for sure 12-5 would honestly easily win the division before the season started. And that's not to mention if I told you that Fred would be gone for the year, Nick Bosa would be gone, Michael would be gone, and we would be walking into the playoffs with practically 2 linebackers off the street. But we'll get into that a bit more. So, guys, don't be so glum. Don't feel too doom and gloom just yet. It's a new season. It's playoffs. Legitimately, anything can happen. Someone can get hurt very early on. That changes the course of the game. We know that firsthand from what happened to Brock back in 2022, which I felt like at that time, it almost felt like the Niners were the team of destiny. And then Brock hurt his elbow, and the rest is history. The Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. But let's go ahead and jump into this thing. Why I feel that the 49ers can pull off an upset win. It really starts, guys, with the coaching and the offense. These coaches, Robert Saleh, Kyle Shanahan, these guys are no stranger to big games, no stranger to big road games, nor playoff games. You can say it's one of those been there, done that type of situation. So I don't think you're going to have any type of situation where coaching will fold in the moment or anything like that. They could coach a bad game and get out coached. I'm not saying that. But I don't think it's going to be because the lights are too bright for this coaching staff. In addition, you look at the core of the team that will be there for the 49ers. Brock's played in the Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey's played in the Super Bowl. I think those two players are going to be critical keys and X factors to the Niners having any opportunity at having success. What I think is crazy is that Christian McCaffrey, a lot of people don't realize this, actually has more rushing yards on the season than Saquon Barkley. Also, the man has 102 receptions, which I think is just absolutely insane. So I feel like CMC's got to have an enormous game. He's going to have to somehow, for the 49ers to have a chance, two things are going to need to happen. Kyle is going to have to keep this thing balanced. If I had an Xbox controller and could control Kyle's brain, I would come in with a 2 tight end set. More than likely, Ricky's not going to go. So you're not going to have any type of stretching of the field, down the field speed. I would line up in a 2 tight end set, have Tungus out there, Kittle out there. I know this might even sound crazy, but I would have Jawan Jennings probably at the X, and then some sort of speed guy on the end. I'd love to see Jordan Watkins out there. I'd love to see Sky Moore out there. And I don't mean just obviously on some gadget play, but have him out there, keep this thing balanced, and keep the Eagles defense guessing. But I think CMC is going to have to turn back the hands of time on this one and really have a 2023 season-esque type of performance out here. We need this man to have 150 to 175 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Throughout the season, Brock has done very well this season. And I know he had the great 2 games with the 5 touchdowns and the read option and all that stuff. That's not what has impressed me about Brock. I think the most impressed I've been with Brock was in this really bad loss to Seattle. I think Brock of old, and I know I say Brock of old, the man just turned 26, but I think we saw some key growth from Brock last game where Brock of 2024 in that game would have forced the issue, forced the ball, just start almost launching it in there toward the end of the game. And that's something that Brock did not do. I know he ended up with the pick. The ball was tipped. It still hit CMC's hands. And when you look at the interview with Christian McCaffrey about that play, he immediately said, regardless if the ball was a little behind or low or whatnot, it hit his hands, and that's a play that he needs to make. That game, guys, was just not in the cards. The 49ers could not get any type of break, and also they didn't make enough plays to even give themselves a break. I know that the score of that game, only giving up 13 points to the Seahawks, appears closer than it is, but there were a few times in the game that I thought Darnold was just trying to literally keep the Niners in it with missing open touchdown passes and bumbling the ball on the ground, fumbling the ball right there, trying to give the Niners every opportunity. And for whatever reason, the Niners just couldn't take advantage of that situation. But I think Brock has grown, but we're going to have to help Brock out. I fear that Trent Williams is not going to play. Even against Seattle with chipping, there was a lot of pressure. So they're going to have to get creative on offense. They're going to have to add in some additional wrinkles. If the Niners come out here in the same, I think same mindset, same physicality, same very vanilla type of offense that we saw against Seattle, if they come out here like that, it's GG's. The game is going to be over. I feel like Kyle is going to have this team ready. This team has not lost back-to-back games all season. Their back has been against a wall, and against all odds, they've pulled some things off. Again, completely new season. All that stuff doesn't matter. It's a road playoff game. It's a hostile environment. It's going to be loud, and the Niners have to, in order to have a chance, cannot beat themselves with turnovers, penalties. They have got to stay in front of the chains here. And they're going to need to just know that punting the ball is not going to be a bad thing in this game. So that's where I see the 49ers having an opportunity to win. So let's look at why I feel like the 49ers can lose. this particular contest. And it really all starts with the Eagles defense. Philadelphia ranks in the top 5 in defense in several key categories, including points allowed and yards per play. They are a very aggressive defense, extremely similar to that of the Seahawks. They probably have more players that you know by name on that defense than you would the Seattle Seahawks anyway. And another factor is that they're getting healthier. They're bringing players back. Last week, and some folks feel that this is a head-scratching move, but last week they rested their starters. I feel like they could have easily gone out there, played their starters, and locked up a 2 seed. It was quite puzzling that they just threw in the towel, conceded the number 2 seed in the playoffs to the Bears, which ultimately, depending upon how things go, could put them not hosting another playoff game, but being on the road. So some people feel like, wow, man, that's a smack in the face for the 49ers. It looks like the Eagles want the 49ers in the first round of the playoffs. And maybe due to the injuries, guys, that's something that they're thinking about. So these guys are getting healthy. These guys are rested up, gave themselves a quasi bye week, you could say, last week. Lane Johnson's going to be coming back. Now, I know he's been out for some time, but I'd take a rusty Lane Johnson on my offensive line all day long, twice on Sunday. So when you think about this, when you couple in their defense, how aggressive they are, they have a positive turnover ratio. They're top 5 in all these statistics on defense, and they really do an effective job of getting after the quarterback. They control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, and that's what they are all about. They are a super physical team. Now, like I mentioned before, CMC has more rushing yards than Saquon Barkley. The Eagles' offense has not been that great this year. They're middle of the road in a lot of categories, but they do have healthy, big-name players. Guys that's been there before. This is the reigning Super Bowl champion. And as we know, Jalen Hurts is a dual-threat guy. To be honest with you, I thought before I even started putting together my notes for the show, I thought to myself, man, could the Eagles run the tush push the whole game, every single play? And could the Niners do absolutely anything about it? Could they run a base offense with trickery out of the tush push the entire game? And with how many starters were out and how banged up and hurt we are, could the Niners do absolutely anything about it whatsoever? You have A.J. Brown. I worry about that matchup. If Renardo Green gets matched up against him, can he win that matchup? I'm not so sure about that. Demo, can he slow down Devonta Smith over the top with that type of speed? Not to mention if, for whatever reason, Saquon Barkley gets going. So you're going to have to deal with the fact that the Niners just have not been effective stopping the run. You look at last game, how many times they beat themselves, just missing simple tackles, not hitting the right gaps, just over and over again. And not to mention that in this game, Tatum Bethune has been placed on injured reserve. So you're not going to have your backup Mike linebacker. Now you're going to bring in Eric Kendricks, and the Niners just signed Kazir White like off of the street because we don't know what D. Winter's status is going to be. I don't see D playing at all. I don't see Trent playing. I don't see Ricky playing. They are just going to be, they're already the more physical team on both sides of the trenches. O-line, D-line, they're better. It's just what it is. And apologies, guys, I am a Niners faithful, and absolutely do I think the Niners have a chance. Yes, they absolutely have a puncher's chance. But when you just line up facts and stats, Fred Warner's not walking through that door this Sunday. And even if he did, even if you had Fred Warner at 70%, is that enough to stop all of what Philadelphia will be bringing at home in the playoffs? Guys, to be quite honest with you, I'm not so sure. Is this game going to be a repeat offensively? Are the Philadelphia Eagles going to be able to stymie the offense the same exact way the Seahawks did? I feel ultimately that the Niners are going to score more than 3 points. I really feel confident in that. Will they be able to outscore Philadelphia with the defense the way it is at present? I'm not quite certain, truthfully. Now, please understand, by no stretch of the imagination are the Eagles some trailblazing offense. The Niners average more points per game than the Eagles. You'd be very surprised to learn just how infrequently the Eagles even score over 20 points, right? They're no awesome offense, but what they are is very physical in the trenches, and they can and more than likely will control the clock. They know who they are. They're not going to come out this game. I don't see Jalen Hurts throwing for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. I think it's going to be ground and pound using Jalen Hurts' legs. And if you give that guy running lanes, our rush lanes have to be sound. If you give that man a lane, he will absolutely eagerly take a first down with his legs. So that's something that the Niners are going to have to be mindful for as well. So the third phase, guys, what are my predictions? What do I think will happen ultimately in this game? Again, I want to say faithful Niners fan for over 30 years, man. I've seen this team come back. I've seen this team get stomped. I've seen this team good, bad, ugly, wrong, or indifferent. I think the Niners have a chance, but I also have to be realistic. And if you're looking for one of those shows that's just going to be like puffing the Niners up like they're the best team in the NFL and they're going to win every game and go undefeated, probably this ain't your show to watch. I really feel as though the Niners lose this contest 31-17 for a lot of the factors that I just mentioned. I do feel like the Niners can keep the game close. It may be even one of those 10-10 contests at halftime. I just feel where things are going to get out of hand is come that fourth quarter with all of these backups. If it's Pleasance again instead of Trent Williams, things could get ugly come late in that game. Having 2 linebackers off the street. And again, they're veterans. They're not scrubs. They're names that we've heard of and we know. In fact, Kazir White had a ton of tackles last year with the Cardinals. I want to say like 130 tackles or something like that. So these are not 2 guys that have never played in the NFL before. They're veterans, but they're definitely past the, I guess you could say, physical peak of their prime, coming into a super hostile environment with everything on the line. Like I said, I don't think the lights will be too bright for them per se, but can they make the plays physically that they need to make to keep this a close game? But ultimately, I see, like I said, the Eagles late in the game pulling away in this one. Again, I please understand, faithful, I want to be wrong. If I'm wrong in the next show, I will say I'm dumb and don't know what I'm talking about with a smile on my face. I really want that to be the case. The puncher's chance I give the Niners is this. If because the Eagles sat their players and in the first quarter they come out there slow, if the Niners can keep a balanced attack going and possess the ball and keep this thing extremely close in the fourth quarter, 17-17, 5 minutes left, then absolutely the Niners have that puncher's chance. I'm not saying it's going to take a miracle. It's not like that. We've seen these guys. We've seen Brock Purdy put the team on his back before in playoff games. He's been there before. He's won big games. It's something that I'm confident that he can do. We are just absolutely, to have that puncher's chance, we're going to need one of those fumbles, one of those mistakes to go our way. We're going to need to have a positive turnover ratio in this game and just play solid fundamental football. We definitely don't need to be out there trying to do double reverse flea flickers in the second quarter. Bless Kyle's heart. Like I said, I'm confident in Kyle, man. I'm confident in his coaching staff. I'm confident in the veterans showing up in this one. But ultimately, sadly to say, I think that this might end up being our last game of the season. Hope I'm wrong. Pray I'm wrong. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. What do you think ultimately the keys are to this game? What do you see the outcome of the game being? If the 49ers win, do you see it being like 20-17? Do you think I'm crazy? Have I bumped my head by predicting the Eagles winning this one 31-17? As always, guys, if you like the show, please take a moment to share it with somebody. Subscribe for more 49ers content. But win or lose, I'll continue covering this team, man. I love these Niners. As always, guys, take care. Be blessed. Go Niners.